Welcome to the Money Watch podcast. It's Tuesday, January 28th, and we are here answering your financial questions. And the we is me, Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst and certified financial planner. And the other part of we is Mark Talercio, who is the executive producer of Everything Jill on Money, as well as a certified financial planner. Hello, Mark. Good morning.
Hello, Jill. Good morning. Yes, it is still morning as we speak.
It sure is. And today we're going to tackle something that we haven't really done yet, which is trying to help anybody who has been impacted by the California wildfires and those high winds. Of course, this applies to everybody anyway, but you don't want to wait for an event to happen. But of course, once it has happened, then you got to do something. And so what I thought we might do, Mark, is to play the audio of our segment, the segment that ran on CBS Mornings last week. And then you and I should talk a little bit more about some of the nuances of how you actually might negotiate with an insurance company, because what clearly was important that the anchors really pounced on was the idea that when you get an offer from a insurance company that is a settlement, that is a negotiation. You don't have to just sign on the dotted line. So I want to talk through that a little bit. And then some really best practice tips for anyone who wants to learn about this before a horrible event occurs. Mark, have you ever made a homeowner's claim or not?
I have indeed. Yes, recently.
Oh, real? Oh, right. So we'll talk about both. We both have very distinct experiences with this. Yours was sort of the run-of-the-mill pain in the neck claim, and mine was a disaster claim. So maybe on the other side of the segment, we'll talk about that and some other things that you need to know about being a victim of a natural disaster and how that's treated by the government. So first, let's air the segment that was on CBS Mornings. The anchors are Nate Burleson, Tony Dokoupil, and Gayle King.
Thousands of homeowners are now beginning the cleanup, even as many face huge financial challenges as well. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger is here with some vital information that you may need to know if you ever lose your home. Jill, good morning.
Good morning.
Glad to have you here. I met a guy when I was out there who was at the dentist, lost his home while he was under surgery, but managed to file. Here's what he had going for him. He told me he filed his insurance claim that same day.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I mean, I think the first thing to remember is that many people don't have physical documents anymore, and that's actually a good thing. It's a good reason that you may want to upload a lot of your documents to the cloud. So when you're looking at these natural disasters, what you're trying to do is first locate that homeowner's or renter's insurance policy. You don't need the whole thing. You need the policy number, and you need the name where you can actually call and just say, hey, I want to file a claim. And I think what's very important here is if you have a house that's burned to the ground, that's one thing. But a lot of people have smoke damage. And what I encourage people to do is take videos and photos and try to compile a list of everything that's been lost. It's very hard to do. Maybe you can use some cloud photos that you have to prompt you to say, what was in this room? You're trying to gather up as much information as you can before you file the claim. But you're right, Tony, as quickly as possible, file that claim, because these insurance companies are going to get backed up. And so too will the California state plan, the FAIR plan, for those people who were dropped by their policies and went to the state insurance plan.
Now, when people start getting offers from the insurance companies saying, here's what we think your loss is worth, how do they evaluate whether to take them, and what if it's not enough money?
Well, I think the first thing to remember is it's an offer. So that is not the ironclad agreement. You can actually go back and say, no, I don't think that's enough money. I lost more stuff here. It could be things that have real meaning to you and some that have actual financial meaning to you.
So treat it like a negotiation.
It is a negotiation. That's what people don't realize.
I did not know
you are
could
so
negotiate.
desperate in that moment to get your money that you'll sign on the dotted line. I want people to
And
take
insurance companies know that.
Absolutely. And so what is important here is also to understand what is it you did lose, go back. Now, if it's not enough money, because sometimes the settlement is the settlement and that's it, you have other options. You have some agencies that can help you out in the interim. So sometimes you send that back, you say, I'm not going to take the money. And you say, fine, but I need to make some repairs to just structurally beef up my house. Make sure you keep receipts for that. go to FEMA, and FEMA has a robust website that they can really help you out. They've got an 800 number. They've got a mobile app. You can also
Everybody says they're trying to make it easier for you now.
They really are. SBA.gov, Small Business Administration, can provide loans. Again, these are resources for people who both have insurance that doesn't cover everything, but also don't have insurance.
But this is the thing that gets me, Jill. It's heartbreaking to hear that even if you lost your house, you still have to pay the mortgage.
Okay, you don't have to pay your mortgage.
Oh.
You will have a 90-day reprieve. The 5 big banks already announced that, and go to your lender immediately, ask for forbearance. You will not have to pay your mortgage for 90 days, and it may get extended. So keep on this. Don't pay that mortgage unless you know that you've gotten that forbearance. And if you can't, you'll go back and fight with them later.
So, Mark, as I said before we got to the segment itself, that the idea that you should not make any permanent repairs until the insurance company has inspected the property and that you've actually agreed on a settlement, that got a ton of attention. I got a lot of people asking me questions about that. When you were negotiating for your homeowner's claim, what happened, and did you need to actually negotiate?
I did. And I will say that I had no idea that you could negotiate until I went through the process. This was a few years back in our old place. Our neighbor above us had some bad leaks going on. And the only way that the repairs could be made is that the maintenance crew had to go through our bathroom. So they had to rip apart our entire bathroom to get to all the pipes for the unit above us. And so our bathroom was completely destroyed. They ripped open everything. It was like,
oh my God,
it was a mess. Thankfully, I had a very, very good experience with my insurance company. They were on it right away. You know, the guy came out, did what he needed to do, and then he gave me his proposal. And he told me, he's like, you know, give this a look, see how it looks to you guys. If there's anything that I didn't get to, or you think something's off, you know, let me know. So basically he's telling me, like, you know, you can negotiate this if you have to. And I looked it over and I realized there was a lot of stuff that we were going to have to pay out of pocket, just like in terms of going through the co-op and paying all the repairs and the contractor fees and this, that, and the other thing. And I told the guy, I said, hey, this is going to cost me like $3,000 just to get people in here to repair this. Can we add all those fees onto this? And he said, yeah, no problem. So there you go.
That's incredible. So I had a slightly different experience. I had a claim based on Superstorm Sandy, and I made a flood insurance claim. And it was interesting because, you know, I did not have a house that was destroyed in this natural disaster, okay? But my house had damage. And so I felt a little bit guilty. I wasn't like, oh, I got to get to the front of the line, because I knew that people were literally like living out of other people's couches and hotels for months, you know, and that I sort of took a deep breath and said, okay, you know, there's probably some damage. And the adjuster came, and sort of a similar thing where they said, you know, it looks like I said, I think everything's working okay. And the adjuster himself said, water damage to a hot water heater with seawater, like salt water, you're toast. It's done. So whether this is going to break today or in a year, you better make the claim now. He literally said that. He spelled that out for me. So I was kind of like, everything's fine. I don't have to worry, because I felt a little bit like, what am I entitled to make a claim? And it was $8,500 that I was not going to claim. And I got a check for $8,500. And guess what? The new hot water heater cost just that amount, and getting everybody, like you said, getting everybody in. So that was a huge lesson. Now, listen, it doesn't always work. If you are somebody who's like, oh, my gorgeous, like I know somebody who made a homeowner's claim and they had wines. The homeowner said, look, I have all these wines. Here's a detail of how much they're worth, and I should get reimbursed for it. And he had special coverage on top of it. So, you know, you can get extra coverage for specific items, whether it's artwork or wine. And, you know, obviously you're not going to replace the wine. But listen to this negotiation, Mark. I think you'll appreciate this. They sent out a separate adjuster just for the wine, who pulled all the bottles out and said, if the label has not been damaged, it's one price. If the label has been damaged, it's another price. And so there was a real negotiation. I mean, look, it was a lot of money. And so boo-hoo, you know, your wine got destroyed, but it's just an asset, you know, just think about it, any asset, right? And so the more that you can have a detail of what is in your house, The more you can have that done, the better. So here's what I suggest that everybody does. Right now, after this podcast is over, when you get home tonight, I'd love for each of you to just take a short video of your dwelling. Go through the walls, take a video of each room. Maybe you do like separate videos, pop that into the cloud, and just have that done. Because these poor people who've lost their homes, I mean, how are you possibly going to remember what you actually lost? You can't. But we have this beautiful thing. It's called an iPhone, or it's called an Android. Take a video, open the cabinets, see what's in there. Just make a quick video and done. That's it. And, if you want to be obsessive, like perhaps a podcast host that you're listening to right now, you make a detailed inventory of everything you have, which I did do. Thank you very much. Hey, Mark, by the way, yesterday, tax season opened. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that if you are a victim of the California wildfires and high winds, you have until October 15th to file your federal and business tax returns and make tax payments. And also, you have the ability to delay till October 15th your IRA contributions, health savings accounts contribution. You got a reprieve. Other people who have been subject to natural disasters, go to the IRS.gov website, because I think Hurricanes Milton and Helene, you have until May. So you have a little bit of extra time. So that's really important. Hey, Mark, we talked about on our other show, we talked about charities to think about. One thing that I thought was kind of interesting, FEMA just released a warning for those folks who actually get onto these crowdsourcing websites like GoFundMe, and people went bananas about it. But here's the deal, gang. FEMA's like, hey, you raise money to cover expenses that, you're incurring. You don't get that covered through FEMA. So FEMA cannot provide aid to cover any expense that you have already received, whether it was through your insurance coverage or through a donations page. So just be careful when you're creating donation pages, because guess what? FEMA can go look at that and they can subtract what you receive. And you might receive more from FEMA. I don't know, unless you have rich friends. What else do we have to say about this homeowners insurance and climate change fiasco that we're all going to have to suck up now? Get ready to pay more for insurance?
Well, that's a given. But I would say, insurance is one of those things that you need to have and you hope you never need to use. But also, I would say use a reputable, established company, because, obviously I'm not comparing my situation to anything that's going on, but it was very, very smooth process. It was easy. I'm sure I could probably go out and find cheaper coverage with somebody else. But the fact that when I needed them, that company was there ASAP and I got my money within like 10 days, that alone, like, I'm going to stick with them.
I know. I agree with you. And I agree that, sometimes people are like, oh, I'll just do it myself, which is fine. You can do it yourself. But, sometimes having an insurance broker can be very helpful, especially in these terrible situations where you're at your wit's end. And, now you're simply kind of grasping at straws to live through every day. And now on top of that, you have to actually figure out how to make a claim, stay on top of it, negotiate, all that, all those pieces, which is a lot. So I'm very thankful I have an insurance broker. I work through a broker because, I'm so lazy, Mark. I really am.
Yes, I know.
I would, if there's somebody whose business it is to be the expert in that business, I'm all in. So anyway, we have a blog post up at JillOnMoney.com, which is financial rebuilding and recovery for fire victims. And in there, you'll also see ways to help. And we have a link to the American Red Cross and the California Fire Foundation and Habitat for Humanity, all these different things. But there are very specific steps. Try to take a deep breath before you go through this. If you're somebody who knows somebody who's a victim and needs our help, please have them get in touch with us. We're certainly happy to help guide folks, especially those who don't have a broker or need some puffing up a little bit. Maybe you're figuring out, wait, where should I pull money from to maybe float me between now and when the insurance check comes in? All of those things, we are here for you. So go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, write us a note. And if you'd like to join us live, just check the box. Mark will do everything else. Don't forget to sign up for our free weekly newsletter, which is right on our website. So we want to thank you so much for listening. Mark Talercio is our co-host and executive producer. He's also the king of all things web. If you want to see his picture, just go to the About section of the Jill on Money website. He's there. We are distributed by Paramount Global. We drop our episodes on Tuesday and Thursdays. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. And of course, please lift someone up, especially someone who's been a victim of one of these terrible disasters. They need your help. Change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Paramount Podcasts.